Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Here on Show Style and Spirit, I am Ebony, of course. And as you can see from the title of this video, we have a couple of stories to talk about, including Halle Bailey. She is actually seeking legal and physical custody of her son with rapper DDG, their son Halo. And we have to talk about these explosive claims concerning Meg Thee Stallion's former best friend, Kelsey. And she's the one, allegedly, who may have pow'd Meg back in 2020. Now, before we get into these stories, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video and please subscribe to the channel. And know that everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. And the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary on these clips are allowed. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with the Meg Thee Stallion story. It is quite shocking. Now, for some people, it's not a shock because some people did have the theory that it was really Kelsey who fired off the pow pow and not Tory. There was some tension between the girls because of allegedly, I think there was some sharing. I believe, didn't they both smash Tory, I think, but for whatever reason. But some people definitely were not shocked. Chris Brown has already posted free Tory, but Meg Thee Stallion's lawyer, Alex Spiro, who is also Beyonce and Jay-Z's lawyer, he is already saying, pump the brakes, calm down. And we're going to get into his statement first because that's the update. And then we'll play the clips from Tory's defense team and what they have to say regarding the security guard who allegedly is the witness to what truly happened. Okay, so shout out to the Neighborhood Talk. That is the source for both of these stories in this video. You all know that the Neighborhood Talk is my favorite blog on Instagram. They do not flag videos here on YouTube, and they do a variety of news stories, from political stories to hard news that could be happening in your city. It's from all over. Hard news meaning crime stories, and of course, celebrity news and celebrity gossip. All right, so I'm going to read the headline from the Neighborhood Talk. It reads, Megan Thee Stallion's attorney releases statement after Tory's legal team says security guard's statement could prove his innocence from the 2020 incident. And Meg Thee Stallion's attorney, Alex Spiro, he is the one that helped get Jay-Z's case dismissed against the special needs Latina, who has said that she was raped by him in the early 2000s after an MTV award show. And remember, she was telling her story and rubbing that rabbit's foot on NBC. Yeah, Alex Spiro did a whole PowerPoint poking holes in her story. Alex Spiro is also Megan Thee Stallion's attorney. And he released the following statement to XXL magazine about Tory Lanez attorney now claiming to have evidence that proves that Megan was pow'd by Kelsey Harris. And his statement reads, Tory Lanez was tried and convicted by a jury of his peers, and his case was properly adjudicated through the court system. This is not a political matter. This is a case of a violent assault that was resolved in the court of law. Point blank, period. So now we're going to get into some clips. I'll play the clips and then I'll read the caption from the Neighborhood Talk. So I'm going to mute my mic so that there is not an echo for you all. Please hit the like button. Thank you so much.
Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Ms. Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People, and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not speak and leave a man in prison for something he did not do. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was witness to the conversation Ms. Harris had, where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired. Not long ago, Unite the People 4 times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun. This statement aligns with the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw 2 women fighting, 2 men break up the fight, 1 man grabbed the other one's arm. Gunshots came from the passenger side. Passenger side is where Ms. Harris was sitting. This further iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Miss Pete, did not shoot at Miss Pete, or did not assault Miss Pete. It's just another irregularity in a list of irregularities in this case. For example, there were 3 potential suspects in the car that night, and yet the only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson 4 times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody. A member of the media, Mr. Gianno Caldwell, was working on an op-ed for the New York Post regarding Mr. Peterson's innocence. During his work on that op-ed, he became aware of some information in Unite the People's possession regarding a statement that was given to Unite the People by someone with information relevant to that case. The only party that responded last week was Megan Pete's representatives with a request for more information. A few days later, Mr. Peterson's brutally attacked in his jail cell. We were willing to wait for the appellate process to play out, but given that brutal, unprovoked attack, we felt it necessary to come here today to provide you with this information. It is our intention to make a request to the governor to either pardon or commute the sentence of Mr. Peterson, so that when he recovers from this attack, he's not returned to a jail cell, but that he's allowed to go home and recover. A member of the media, Mr. Gianno Caldwell, was working on an op-ed for the New York Post regarding Mr. Peterson's innocence. During his work on that op-ed, he became aware of some information in Unite the People's possession regarding a statement that was given to Unite the People by someone with information relevant to that case. The only party that responded last week was Megan Pete's representatives with a request for more information. A few days later, Mr. Peterson's brutally attacked in his jail cell. We were willing to wait for the appellate process to play out, but given that brutal, unprovoked attack, we felt it necessary to come.
Okay, y'all, so I wanted to play that last clip twice. The other clips I just played 1 time. Now, I played the last clip twice because do you see what he's trying to suggest? We all know that Tory Lanez, unfortunately, was attacked right on the prison yard, shanked several times, and he is recovering. So this gentleman from the firm Unite the People, he said that a journalist for the New York Post was working on a story about Tory Lanez's innocence, had come into some information. That same information was sent to Meg Thee Stallion's legal team, and after her team received it, a few days later, Tory Lanez was attacked. So he's putting it out there without putting it out there that perhaps, the 2 are connected. Now, could they be connected? Absolutely. Nearly anything is possible, right? But I don't like that suggestion, as if, Meg or someone on her team would order, such a violent attack on someone who's already paying his debt to society for what he reportedly has done to her. I don't like that suggesting. And so he's talking about how only Tory Lanez's DNA sample was collected, but not everyone else's that was in the vehicle, including Kelsey and Meg. And he said that that's just one irregularity in a list of them. Well, I feel like he too is kind of talking in circles as well, leaving things up in the air for people to suggest and to get the court of public opinion all riled up again about this case. And it's definitely working because, again, the singer Chris Brown has already posted free Tory. And that's definitely the sentiments of some people in the comment section. But I want to go ahead and read the caption from the Neighborhood Talk. And of course, I'll be replacing some words with some YouTube friendly jargon. So Alex Spiro, Meg Thee Stallion's attorney, just clapped back via XXL magazine after Tory Lanez' legal team claimed there's new evidence proving his innocence in the 2020 shooting. Earlier today, Walter Roberts, the gentleman who's speaking at the podium of Unite the People, held a press conference alleging that a security guard and driver for Kelsey Nicole has come forward with testimony suggesting that Kelsey admitted to herself being the power. According to Roberts, the man said that he overheard private conversations while working for Kelsey and could no longer stay silent as an innocent man serves time. Roberts added that while they originally planned to follow the appeals process, they're now seeking an immediate pardon due to Tory's recent shanking in prison. Megan's legal team wasn't here for it. And again, in a statement to XXL magazine, Alex Spiro is quoted as saying, Tory Lanez was tried and convicted by a jury of his peers, and his case was properly adjudicated through the court system. This is not a political matter. This is a case of a violent assault that was resolved in a court of law. And I think that that's a very solid statement. I don't understand why the security guard did not come forward back in 2020. That is a huge, huge question for me. And I am curious. Let me Google what kind of firm is Unite the People. What kind of firm is Unite the People? Is this a firm that helps people who are wrongly convicted? It is a nonprofit. Okay, so Unite the People Inc. is a California-based nonprofit organization, and I can share this really quickly, but I think StreamYard will knock out the audio. So I don't want to share this page because if I get off of the Neighborhood Talk, StreamYard may knock out the audio. I think that I'm done playing audio for this video. So, but all I Googled was what kind of firm is Unite the People, and Google's AI says that Unite the People is a California-based nonprofit organization. It focuses on social justice issues, particularly within the criminal justice system, advocating for reform and providing affordable legal services to low and middle income individuals. They offer services like low-cost legal representation, post-conviction relief, and immigration services. The organization also works to educate the public on social justice issues and advocates for policy changes. Unite the People's website provides more detail about their work. Okay, so now I'm really curious. So Tory Lanez, I wonder, is his legal team through Unite the People? I'm not saying he can't do that just because he's a rapper. I'm just curious now, did he obtain Unite the People services, or did the former security guard just randomly go to Unite the People with this information and not the police or the prosecutor? It's kind of bizarre. Okay, so now I want to Google. I'm going to go back to that same tab. Which firm represented Tory Lanez? And Google's AI says, oh, okay. Tory Lanez, his real name is Daystar Peterson, was represented by the legal team Unite the People, Inc. This social justice advocacy group has been retained to represent Lanez in his appeal of his 10-year sentence following his conviction in the pow'ing of Meg Thee Stallion. Gotcha. That's why the security guard went to them. Now that makes sense to me. Okay, so Unite the People represents Tory Lanez for his appeal. Okay, that is interesting. All right. So let me know in the comments, did you ever think that Kelsey was the pow person? Do you think that there is a connection between Meg Thee Stallion's legal team learning of the security guard, overhearing that Kelsey said that she was the power, and Tory getting attacked? Do you think that someone ordered the attack on Tory's side to make Megan look like she ordered it? Now that is giving an episode from Power. That is giving an episode of How to Get Away with Murder. Remember that show with Viola Davis? She did do something like that. When her character was locked up, she kept talking ish to like the baddest bitch in the prison, and they like beat her up really bad so that she could get out, ultimately get out early. But that's what that's giving. Now that I'm recording this video and sharing my thoughts, my commentary, that's giving that to help Tory, someone may have set up for him to get attacked to make it look like Meg possibly ordered it. That is really dirty. And if Alex Spiro, her attorney, is thinking the same thing, he'll come right out and say it. He's badass. And I'm not saying that Unite the People and this Mr. Walter Roberts here, I'm not saying that they are not a strong firm, but Alex Spiro, he is like Proctor from Power and Thirsty from Empire rolled together times 100. Okay? So we'll have to see how this ends up. But what are your thoughts? Please let me know. All right, so now we're going to get into Halle. So I opened up another tab for it because I wanted to get into the details. Yesterday, I made a short about it saying that you all said that Halle had no business dating DDG, and I tried to be open-minded. So I'm not going to say I self-betrayed because it's not my life, it's Halle's life, but I did ignore my intuition concerning her dating DDG to try and be happy for her. I ignored my thoughts, I ignored my intuition, but it turns out I was spot on. And a lot of you did not ignore your intuition. You said it boldly whenever the blogs would post them. And it turns out, you know, we were right. She had no business dating him, in my opinion. Because the thing is that if you have a baby with the immature guy or the no good ninja, or, you know, if he's immature, you know, you have to wait it out. Like, I believe it was, shout out to D, one of my subscribers. She commented under the short, like, you know, she's got 17 more years to deal with this. That's right. And I hope the 17 years goes by fast, but we all know time goes by fast, but it don't go by that fast, especially when you're dealing with someone who's immature. So let's get into, so I have another tab opened up that gets into a lot of the details that she claims in the filing for the restraining order. But this one, I'm going to talk about the sole custody. So again, shout out to the Neighborhood Talk, and let's get into it. So the headline reads, Halle Bailey wants sole custody of baby Halo and requests court order to prevent child abduction due to DDG's alleged abuse and threats. Says he's hidden Halo before. So now the caption reads, according to court documents obtained by People magazine, Halle Bailey is requesting sole legal and physical custody of her son, whom she shares with ex-boyfriend, rapper, and influencer DDG. She's also asking the court for an order to prevent child abduction, stating that DDG has a history of abusing her, has taken or hidden Halo from her, has threatened to take or hide him again, and has refused to cooperate with her in parenting. In addition, Halle is requesting that DDG be granted only supervised visits with Halo once a week for 6 hours through a professional agency while the child is in Los Angeles. She also wants the court to prevent him from taking Halo outside of Los Angeles County. So, and shout out to Jay Nadaj. He's saying protect Black women. Do you all follow him on YouTube? Jay Nadaj is a vocalist and a social media phenomenon. He's a comedian and he's got a ton of content on YouTube. He creates different scenarios. He is hilarious. He has a character called Tequila, and she's in school, so she walks in rapping the Carly Red song tequila Louis Prodigucci, and she is hilarious. He has like a beauty salon show. He does episodes for a family meeting where like the dad passes away and he has like another family on another side of town, and Jay Nadaj does all the different characters. So that's a more serious content, right? It's like 3 family meeting episodes. He has Christmas content, Halloween content where people are freaking out. It's hilarious. You want to follow, let me scroll down so you can see Jay Nadaj. You have to check him out and follow him on Instagram as well. But his YouTube content, it is hilarious. But he is saying protect Black women. So I want to say first, you really cannot tell what a person is putting up with just from looking at them. I mean, Halle is young, beautiful, healthy. She's working. Her and her sister, they write their songs. It's one thing to be able to know how to sing. That's an amazing gift. And they can sing. And then it's an additional gift to write your songs. That is what I love so much about Mariah Carey and Aretha Franklin, and her sister wrote songs, and it's major. So, and that's really the source of the money. Ask Babyface. So anyway, you would never think, the young Nettie in the reimagined Color Purple, and she's working on a movie right now in Italy, as we learn through these court docs. You would never think that she is in this turbulent romantic relationship. And the stereotype is that women trap men, but no, men trap women. Especially the ones who are immature. No shade to DDG. I know he has a huge following. He's a streamer. He streams his content. He's a rapper. I know he makes money, but I am convinced, I am assuming, I do think that Halle's money is longer. And so, just in my opinion, to the DDG fans, but I do think that she has been dating down. And so I feel like in those instances, the guy knows that she's dating down. And that's when they get the girl pregnant, because they want to remain in her life. They want to keep that connection. And they see the kid as a means to control the woman. Just go ask Martell. So I feel like DDG was like, yo, I got Halle Bailey and she's in The Color Purple. She's working with Oprah. She sings like a songbird, and he had to hurry up and get her pregnant, And like I said earlier, because she's very young, like Chloe's just like in her mid-20s and she's the big sis. I had a feeling like, oh no, I think DDG is like her first real boyfriend. And if I'm right, she gave it up to her first real boyfriend, and now she done had his baby. Now she's learning about how these ninjas are. But I had a feeling she was like green as a tree outside. Chloe and Halle, they're from Georgia, but I have a feeling they grew up in suburban Atlanta. They grew up in a 2-parent household. Their parents are married. And when they were interviewed on Good Morning America, their mom and dad seemed really down to earth, like a straight up family. So the fact that Chloe and Halle are into dating these bad boys, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll be so glad when they get over it. I have a feeling that Halle will get over it much sooner because number one, she has a kid to protect, and number two, she's been going through it with DDG. Now, I'm no lawyer, I'm no judge, so I don't know how a judge would decide on like the supervised visits with Halo once a week for 6 hours. I thought you do that like in instances where the parent may struggle with like substance abuse or they've been violent and you want to protect the child. So I guess that's what it would be. It would be if he could lash out at Halle allegedly. Perhaps the judge may think, well, I also need to protect the baby, so someone needs to be there to witness when he spends time. That just sounds, it just sounds so restricting. But if he's really off the chain, then so be it. So that'll be up to the judge to decide. I'm glad that Halle is being so aggressive and she's not making excuses for him like his mama. And that y'all know that burns my biscuits because I feel like our race, our community in general, is so much tougher on Black women, and they make excuses for Black men. All his shortcomings is due to the white man, due to racism, but Black women never get that excuse. Like, Black women are like taught since you were a little girl, like, you're going to go to college and then you're going to get a job, and I'm summarizing, don't be a hoe, and you want to get married. And I feel like Black men, from the time that there are Black boys, like nobody is mentoring them on the benefits of marriage and get married first and then have the kids. Get yourself established financially, get a decent job, then get married and then have the baby. Like nobody mentors them, and they don't see like a lot of the men doing that to be their example because they grew up in a single parent household. It's just like so bizarre. Ugh, so bizarre. And then if you are blessed to grow up in like a stable home, even with like my childhood trauma being bullied, like I still, like my parents were married and I saw daddy go to work every day. He worked 2 jobs at a Ford plant and at a cleaners, and he provided. So like, even if you have that solid experience, there's not a lot of Black guys out here to date who comes from that same stability. It's just like I can't tell you the number of guys, and I feel like that's who like always wants me and they're aggressive. It'll be the ones they'll say like they never met their dad. Like one guy told me he never met his dad, and I remember that blowing my mind. Like, how do you like grow up and that person who helped to conceive you, he never comes around, never tries to connect with his child? That is bizarre. And there's like a brokenness, like an unevenness inside of them that never gets properly addressed. Like if you're growing up and you've never met your dad, like you should be in therapy about that because you're literally born into abandonment. You're born into rejection because he won't do right. So, this is unfortunate. And see, the thing is, if they hadn't conceived the baby, she could just walk away. But there will always be some sort of connection. But for another 17 years, like it's gonna be deep because Halo will be a minor and for another 17 years. So it's just a lot. How do you all feel? How do you feel about her request for the supervised visits? Do you think that she's jumping the GUN, or do you totally understand given what she alleges in terms of abuse? I get it. It's really sad. I get the request. It just seems so sad. And his mama is out here saying, I've been silent, but it's time that I speak up. Just making excuses. And that's why they never change. Because they know they don't have to, because there's a lot of Black women out there who do make excuses for them. And for those who may not have seen the other channels, I know like Carmel Rell covered this last night, and I summarized it in a short, but I wanted to just go back over some of the violent details about their relationship. So, in this headline from yesterday, it reads, a judge reportedly grants Halle Bailey a restraining order against DDG after she claims he smashed her head into a steering wheel and chipped her tooth. Says he threw her phone out the window and yelled, "Go get it, B." So here are photos of her bruises. So I imagine like the arm after he must have grabbed her, and she did document it. Good for her. And alleged text messages of DDG confronting Halle about her talking to someone else, which is super duper scary. That's giving stalker. When I'm sure there's plenty of females in DDG's DDMs. Give me a break. So now I want to go to the caption. A judge has granted Halle Bailey a restraining order against her child's father, rapper DDG, after she accused him of abuse dating back to January, according to documents obtained by TMZ. Bailey claims the incident occurred while she was handing off their son Halo to DDG. The two began discussing visitation plans, but Bailey says DDG became agitated. As she was buckling Halo into his car seat, she alleges he snapped and yelled, "Get out of my car, B." Bailey claims they began to wrestle, and DDG pulled her hair and slammed her head into the steering wheel, chipping her tooth. She says Halo started crying, which made her anxious about letting him leave with DDG in that state. After she began crying, the physical altercation ended, but out of concern for her child, she stayed in the car for the ride. And during that time, he's going to throw out her cell phone and say, "Get it, B." So there is more. Let's get to it. So here's the picture of the chipped tooth. From our view, it looks like the right, but it's her left front tooth, slightly chipped at the bottom. So that is ridiculous. So she filed the restraining order. She was totally well within her right. And because the judge granted the restraining order, in my opinion, that strengthens her case now for legal and physical custody of Halo and the supervised visits. And she doesn't want him taking the son out of Los Angeles. That is very key as well. I have girlfriends who, they had a baby with the ex-husband, and in the divorce decree, the husband was able to get that, she can't like leave the state while their child is a minor. So that's kind of normal. I would say it kind of falls under, yeah, don't take the kid out of Los Angeles. And so there is a movie, a Lifetime movie from years ago starring Taraji P. Henson, based off of a true story where a Black woman, she had a son with a Korean man. I don't know if he was Korean specific, he was Asian. And he told her that they were going to Disney World, and he took the boy to Asia. And it was a trip because in the beginning of the movie, there's Disney World in Florida and there's Disneyland in California. And by mistake, the Asian man says, "You ready for a trip to Disneyland, buddy?" And Taraji goes, "Disneyland? You said you were taking them to Disney World." He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Disney World." She's like, "Oh, okay." Because like they lived closer. They were kind of like on the east side, the eastern part of the United States, which would have been closer to Disney World in Florida. So she was already freaking out at the thought of him possibly taking the baby to California, but it took him all the way to Asia. So that's what I thought of when I read about her request to keep the baby, to not take him out of the city of Los Angeles. So Halle has a lot to go up against because, he always came off immature to me, and just seeing like the mom's comment, it's just giving like, there could be ignorance there, starting from the parents on down. I know I don't know DDG personally. I'm just basing my commentary off of what I see on social media and in general, the Black race and how it makes excuses for Black men. Well, what do you all think about the story involving Halle Bailey and DDG? I thank you all so much for checking out this video. Please hit the like button on this video, as it is a free way of supporting the channel. And please subscribe to Shows Style and Spirit if you have not already done so. I hope that you all had a wonderful Wednesday. I did. I cannot complain. Most of the work week is over. That's always a relief to me mentally. Before I made this video, I already made my overnight oats. I just grabbed dinner from Panera. I know I shouldn't spend the money. And I did, cause last night I fixed some lima beans and stuff, and I had leftovers that I could have had tonight and I just didn't. But it's okay. Nobody's perfect. But I did go to the gym after work, and I've made some content. So by the time you all see this, I believe it will be Thursday morning. We are all going to have a thriving Thursday, and it's going to be awesome. And I will talk with you all soon. Bye.